What's up guys, Gaonan here, and today I'm going to start my climb to Masters. I'm starting this series because I wanted to share my knowledge and have some fun. Since the release of Fall of Argenport, I have hit Masters every month with about a 60% win rate, which usually lands me in the top 50 drafters at the end of the month. This usually takes me about 11 drafts, so that means there will be an average of 3 episodes per week. I also just want to have fun. I love playing and talking about Eternal, so feel free to add me in game using this tag. Alright, without further ado, let's get into our first draft of the month so we can climb to Masters. Alright, so not a lot of interesting cards in the way of commons or anything like that. Lethrai Darkstalker is fine, Rotorcycle is fine, but everything else is pretty underwhelming. Even the uncommons are very underwhelming. So I'm just going to take the Crest of Progress here because even an off-color crest is playable in a deck. The ability to scout and filter your draws is pretty good in a limited format, so I like Crest here. Pick 2, we've got some interesting choices as far as Master at Arms, which goes along with our Crest of Progress. Longhorn Treasurer is very good if you can guarantee that it's turned on with, having another unit with Endurance. Territorial Elf, don't love it in draft. Think it's pretty weak, underwhelming. You need units that can block when you're in a bind, and Territorial Elf doesn't fit that bill. Far and away the best card is Master at Arms here, so I'm going to take it. Alright, so some very good time cards coming through as far as Wormstone, Training Ground, Worm Enchanter is even decent as well. Nothing else is very exciting. Shadowstalker is decent, but I much prefer the time cards that I'm seeing here versus anything else. Earlier you picked this, you can supplement with some spells, but I do like Training Ground a lot. Another decent Justice card coming through. Veteran Strategist is very good because it allows you to splash more easily. Rampart Arbalest is a strong card, can deal with pesky flyers, and as I mentioned in the last video, Combray is a pretty removal light faction pairing most of the time, so I think it's important to pick removal when you see it, so I'm going to take the Arbalest here. This is very interesting because Welding Torch is a very strong card in Limited. Games often go along allowing you to get to the point where you can play this Welding Torch and kill one of your opponent's units. I already mentioned Longhorn Treasurer before. I think Hot Blood Barbarian is pretty good as well. It's a good aggressive card, and discarding extra power or something for temper is very relevant. That being said, I think Welding Torch is the strongest card. I think it's stronger than Wormstone, so there's the potential that we're in Rakano instead of Combray right now. So we'll see depending on what comes through the packs, but I'm going to take the Welding Torch here. Definitely seems like time is coming through, so cards like Training Ground are great, especially when you've got this Wormstone. I also like Watchful Amanera quite a bit. It's got a really nice big butt to do some blocking on the ground, and the scout ability, just like I mentioned with the Crest, scouting is very important and limited to smooth out your draws. So that being said, I'm going to take the Training Ground just for a 2-drop. I like it more than I like Amanera. Okay, so now we see no time, no justice, only the 3 other factions. As far as what's the strongest card, none of these are particularly exciting. I think I'm probably going to take the Manufacture here because it at least has some synergy with Wormstone, and I don't think I'm passing much up by passing Pyre Elemental. Alright, Illumination Wisp is a solid card. None of these cards are particularly exciting. I'm just going to take the Drifter because it's an aggressively statted 1-drop. gonna take this Wisp again. I like it more than Plover. Neither of these are gonna be in our deck. Alright, so on to pack 2, and now we've got a pretty interesting decision point here on whether to take this Obliterate or whether to take this Vanquish. Both are very strong cards, very powerful effects. The only thing in red that I'm particularly excited about right now is the Welding Torch. The Drifter, the Manufacturer, don't excite me, and for that reason I'm going to take the Vanquish, because I think Master at Arms is a very strong card and Arbalest is strong as well. So I'm going to take the Vanquish here, but definitely a tough decision given that we're kind of stuck between these two factions at the moment. Alright, we took the Vanquish, we get rewarded, we get an Auric Runehammer, which is almost always a 2-for-1 in limited, assuming you can set it up correctly. Yeah, so let's just take Runehammer here. Once again, rewarded for staying in Justice. Finest Hour is a great pickup here. Other notable cards would be Xenon Guardian, Seek Power, to potentially splash that Welding Torch. The power of Finest Hour is no joke, so I'm going to take that here. I think the Crest of Wisdom is just better than all these other options. You know, we don't have any killer effects to make Safe Return really good right now. Not saying we won't see them, but there's a very good chance we could see another Safe Return down the road. I don't particularly like Initiate of the Sands. I think taking Crest of Wisdom here is great. Once again, it's an off-color crest, but that's fine to play that in limited. I think Silverwing Familiar is the strongest card in this pack. It's a flyer, it's hard to remove. If you get weapons that you can put on it, it gets even stronger. I really don't like Town Watchman. I think it's a pretty underwhelming 6-drop. So I'm between the Last Light Infusion and Predator's Instinct here. But I like Last Light Infusion given what we have so far between the Illumination Wisps and the Silverwing Familiar. So I'm going to pick it here. Voyaging Lumen, not a bad pickup at this point. I think this is okay to pick up here. We'll likely see another teleport, so happy to pick up Lumen here. I'm between the Banner and the Waystone. Silverwing Familiar really likes weapons, Illumination Wisp really likes weapons, and Welding Torch is one of the strongest weapons out there. So I think I'm going to hedge my bets and pick this Praxis Banner here. Alright, Lumen Shepherd is a nice pickup here. I don't think we have enough life gain to make Cult Aspirant good, so I'm just going to take the Waystone here. Man, are we in the right colors again? So, Desert Marshal, once again, really unique effect. Have to pick it here. And we're rewarded with another Praxis Banner, so it's very likely that we can splash this Welding Torch pretty much for free. So this is a really interesting pick because you could take Humble Instructor, which works with Illumination Wisp and Silverwing Familiar, but we could also just take Torch, which is just a pretty strong spell. I in general don't love splashing for Torch because it's not an unconditional removal spell, but that being said, it's a very strong spell. So I think I've talked myself into taking this Torch over the Humble Instructor. My goodness, so now we get rewarded with an Auric Record Keeper, very strong, on-curve body, was in the last draft video as well, so happy to see it again. I love Bright Mace Paladin, it's very good with Master at Arms, very good with Auric Record Keeper, so this is a great pickup, and just a solid body. 3/3 for 3 is the rate you want. Bright Mace Paladin, once again, I think is too solid to pass up, so I'm going to pick it up here. I've already talked about the strength of Desert Marshal, so if I can get one, why not get two? I think I'm just going to pick up the solid 2-drop of Bold Adventurer here. Initiate of the Sands fits pretty well into this deck. Lets us skip over this 2-drop slot. because right now we only have 4 of them. So I'm going to pick Initiate here. I'd rather have the solid 2-drop than the potential for 2 life. Okay, Dune Phantom is fine. Dispel is a solid card, so I'm going to pick that up here. Okay, this is crazy. I think this is the second time that in the second to last pick I've gotten a Desert Marshal, so that's 3 Desert Marshals in this draft. I'm really excited about that. And then a card that Saddle Up is much better than Journey Guide. Final Shot is potentially another card we could splash, but with how this deck is shaping up, we might not even need to splash any of these red cards because the cards that we do have are so solid and aggressive. So I think Saddle Up is fine here. Don't need to get cute, can just stick to our guns and go with what we know we're going to do. 2 schools of thought here. I could take the Longhorn Treasurer, it's turned on with the Illumination Wisp. Sheriff's Hat, on the other hand, not as good as it was before it was nerfed, but still a very solid card. Another weapon that can double as a spell to turn on Wormstone as well, so just makes a lot of sense to pick it up here. Nothing too exciting in this pack. Just going to take Meditation. I don't really like Reinforced Baton because of the double influence cost. Graceful Calligrapher is a solid 4-drop, but Peacekeeper's Helm fits the plan a little bit more. We want weapons to pump up some of these tiny flyers so we can win in the air. Also gets rid of their flyers by silencing them, and just a very strong tempo play, so I'm going to pick Helm here. This doesn't look like anything we're going to play, so I'm just going to take the Spell Sword. I wouldn't play 2 Meditation. I'm also not going to play Sirocco Elementalist, so this is an autopilot pick. This is a really late Dusk Raider, but there's a chance we play this Grave Tender. I doubt it, but there's a chance, so I'm going to pick it up here. This is unfortunate because our colors aren't coming through in this last pack here, so just kind of taking some cards here. We might play Parma, probably not though. We've got some pretty strong cards. 3 Desert Marshals is insane. We've got another Arc, Record Keeper, a couple of Bright Mace Paladins, Master at Arms. Shepherd is very good. A lot of solid weapons and some decent spells as well. I don't think that we need to play these red cards. I'd rather have the consistency over the extra power. We got some weapons in the last pack that are going to help us close out the game as this Welding Torch would do. So I'm going to cut the red cards now. Also don't need any of this power here at the moment. This is looking like a 17 power deck again because we really have no true flood protection. So I think almost all the units are solid right now. Really we have 18 units because we have this training ground as well. It's too bad we didn't get to see any living examples or anything like that, but still, you know, very good draft overall. Definitely don't think we need Parma. It's not matching up with the plan. We don't need big butts to block on the ground. We've already kind of got that covered. So what we really need is weapons that add attack because we need to win in the air with some of these smaller flyers. So really we just need one more cut now. Meditation is probably the cut. We'll just do that. Then we'll go over to get some power added to the deck. Make sure we get both those crests in there. You know, this one only counts as time, but this is counting as time and justice. So we're leaning towards time just a little bit. You've got 7, 8, 9 time, 7, 8, 9 justice. 9, 9 split seems reasonable to me. The deck looks pretty strong. I'm excited to see how it plays out. You know, in general, the plan is to kind of stall on the ground and then win in the air. So it'll be interesting to see if we can do that. I think this deck is going to run into some trouble as far as finishing the game out. But hopefully with the plethora of silence effects between Desert Marshal and Dispel, we'll be able to continue pushing through in the air to win. So let's get into some games.